Hey friends, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Elizabeth and I share deck flip-throughs, spreads, VRs, and so much more. Today we're going to take a closer look at the Tarot of the Sweet Twilight. This is a deck that I received as part of a deck swap with Dezarey from Burning Waters of the Moon. And I wanted to take a closer look at the deck. This is going to be part of the hashtag use my decks. And so if you haven't seen it, these are the card backs. And it's just very unique and interesting. This is a low Scarabeo deck. And so sadly, the guidebook has very little information. I would love to know more about this artwork and the creative choices that were made for the deck, but that is not possible. So for here, we're going to have to rely solely on our intuition. Now, this is a deck that has been around for a very long time. I have seen this deck on many channels. I want to say the first time I ever saw this deck, it was on a typical Tarot's channel, but I've seen it many places, and I've always been curious about this deck. And so it was ironic or synchronistic that Dezarey chose this deck to send to me as part of the deck swap. So what I thought I would do is, and actually before I got started, I went through the guidebook just to see if there was, any kind of information in there. But all it said was, it was talking about how twilight is that period between day and night. And from that, I gathered maybe this deck is supposed to take you into that, the liminal space. And so I wanted to use it in a spread. Unfortunately, there weren't very many spread options. Actually, I didn't see any spread options in the book. And so I'm going to do something a little bit different. But I also was kind of thinking about if this was a deck that was in the collection permanently, right? What would I pair this with? But I was thinking, what if we tried pairing it with the Soul Trees Ascension and the Soul Seeds Oracle? Both of these are by the same creator, but they have a little bit of a different feel. So let's give it a try. So over here we have the Soul Trees. Now this is not this is Soul Trees Ascension, which is different than the original Soul Trees deck. And then this one over here, I'll show you the card backs. This one is edged in silver, and this one is the Soul Seeds. Soul Seeds. Interesting. I like this color here. It's really interesting because with this deck, it seems like some of them are okay and some of them are not. But this one kind of seems, I don't know, here these two look awesome together. But look at how nice these are. Here we have Ace of Swords with Believe. That's interesting. See the Ace of Cups. What if you read them with both? Ace of Cups with Love You and Rainbow. See, but then here, this is like too vibrant, I feel. This would look better. Uh, Interesting. Three of Swords with Curious. It's that invitation to get curious, which I say all the time. And, when you're exploring feelings or behaviors, get curious, without judgment, but just ask why. Why do I feel this way? Why did I just say this? Or why did I just do that? Uh, and you continue to dig a little bit deeper. I feel like these look good together. But the key words are amazing. So here we have justice with let it go and intention. That's pretty powerful. Look at these. I feel like this deck, I don't know, because this has purples too. I was going to say this has more purple, but I don't know. Ooh. I don't know that either of these are a perfect match, but let me know what you think in the comments. Do you like one more than the other? It's a mixed bag, it feels like, but I'm kind of leaning towards the seeds, the soul seeds, which is interesting because soul seeds is the deck that I paired to my circ deck. But I almost feel like you could read them all the way across this way just fine. So the Three of Wands with ease and open, being open, open to the idea, open to the plans changing, open to the possibilities. Mm. This here is really cool. Two of Chalices and perception. They say perception is reality. And look at how she is lost here, but he's like all the way up there. I don't know. It's interesting. I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are. I kind of like these, but there are some from over here that work really, really well in terms of color. How interesting. I feel like I could do this forever and just get lost in the art. It's actually an interesting way to read with decks too, because you can continue to flip through the decks until you get to the point where there's a combination of cards that kind of stops you in your tracks. And then you know that that's the message for you. I feel like that would be amazing. I don't know. Some people might think of it as cheating. I don't think so. It's not like you're pre planning, you're just kind of going through until you have a combo that, really speaks to you. This card is so cheery. It's so interesting. Two of Wands. And so this is usually the card of doing the plans, but not actually, being ready to go out there and do the thing. You're just in the planning stages. But then here we have like all these directional signs for Death Valley. And the road kind of ends. It's like, oh, what do I do from here? I don't know. There's this skeleton figure over here. Oh my gosh, this deck is wild. This is very interesting. See, then over here you have this card, and this feels like way too chipper for this card here. I don't know. It's a mixed bag. You let me know what you think. I wanna go ahead and give the decks a shuffle. Now, this deck, I love the size of these decks. These low scarabeo decks, a lot of times, they're just kind of slightly smaller than a standard tarot. And so they fit really well into the hand. Perfect for people that have smaller hands like I do. So I'm happy about that. So let me just set her aside. Whereas this deck here, you know, it's chunkier. It still shuffles pretty good. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull out my spread book. I won this book on a giveaway over at Miss Kulala's channel. And there's so many awesome spreads in the book. And it's really helpful, especially for situations like this, where you go to the deck and you want to experiment or fool around and you look in the guidebook and there's nothing really there. Well, at least you can find a spread from the book that would, you know, be helpful. Okay, so let me grab the book. This is the book that I'm talking about, 111 Oracle Spreads for Every Day. Now, obviously, it's called Oracle Spreads, but you can use this for anything, in my opinion. And we can try here, mind, body, and soul. So we'll choose a card for mind, mental state, body, physical health, and soul, higher self, or spiritual growth. And we're going to choose card 1 for mind. So that's going to be mental state and thought patterns. So a card for mental state and thought patterns. Oh, that's really pretty. Oh, that's the Queen of Pentacles. Oh, that's gorgeous. Okay, so mental state. And then card 2 is going to be body. Card 2 for body. Oh, we have the 6 of chalices. That's interesting. That's very interesting. And then card 3, we have the soul, higher self. Oh, okay. Ooh, the tower. Ooh, that'll be interesting. Okay, so let's take a closer look at this tower card. How interesting that the figures are looking from afar. Oh my gosh. All right. Now let's pull an oracle. So we're going to do the same thing, mind, body, and soul. So aesthetically, I don't know. Because some of the cards are like, those are amazing, and then other cards are like, oh, not so much. But I really do like the vibe of the keyword with the vibe of the deck. So let's take a closer look. Over here, we had mind, mental state, and thought patterns. So we had the Queen of Pentacles. First of all, these two cards are really beautiful together. Queen of Pentacles. So that's a vibe, right? In and of itself. This is a queen that is very loving and nurturing, very grounded and centered, focused on growing financial abundance, taking care of home, making sure that she is slowly but steadily working towards all of the goals. And then we have this card of vibration. So, in terms of mind, this could very easily be speaking to that manifestation state, right? When you think about Queen of Pentacles energy, what is the energy that you want to bring in to yourself? So I'm just going to take a quick look at the guidebook just so you kind of get an idea of how it reads. So for the Queen, it tells us appreciation of creation and the ability to create are qualities tied to the earth. Okay, tied to the earth, the moon, the sun, and the heavens. Who says that physical things are mundane? I like that reminder. And with that comes this idea of this vibration, this energetic vibration that as we are creating or co creating with the earth, with the moon and the sun and the sky, that we create this ripple effect. I think that's really beautiful. And then for card two was the body. We had the Six of Chalices with instinct. And that's really interesting to see this depiction here, to see this figure with their cups. Usually the Six of Cups is, that card of nostalgia. But in this case, she's facing off a figure that is way bigger than she is, and yet she's not afraid. She's not afraid to confront. And I think that that's the idea that they're trying to give with this depiction, is that we cannot be afraid to confront our past because it's part of our makeup. It's part of who we are. So it's a very interesting depiction for this card. And then we have the card of instinct, which ties so nicely to this bear figure on the card. Instinct with the Six of Chalices. Are we following our instincts? Now, if we are going by the spread, this is supposed to be body, physical health, and well being. So let's take a look at the guidebook and see what advice it has to offer. And we have stepping outside the confines of social structure, we can find ways to connect with others. These others may be ones we normally overlook. Isn't that interesting? The ways that we connect will certainly surprise us. And so I feel like that right there is telling you um, that it's important to follow your instinct, to follow, your gut, to follow that, to listen to that, still small voice that speaks to you, those intuitive nudges. With the card of physical health, I mean, this could potentially speak to something creeping up in our physical health, and maybe facing it and dealing with it and following our instinct. And I'll give you an example. What is coming to mind for me is, and I think we've all been there before, is when you have that moment where something feels off in your body and you sense it, but you keep brushing it off or making excuses. Not, you don't make the appointment to get over to the doctor, and before you know, time goes on. Well, what happens? Your symptoms progressively get worse, and then perhaps by the time you get to the doctor, yes, there are things that they can do for you, but perhaps if we had caught it at an earlier stage, then it wouldn't be as bad as it is now. So I am totally feeling like this is definitely a call out for health, a call out to pay attention and to listen when you're getting those intuitive nudges coming from your body. Something doesn't feel right, something has changed, something is different. uh, pay attention and take action. That's what I'm getting with these cards right here for body. Then the final card was for soul. So over here, we had the Tower card. Okay, that's a powerful card. It could be a scary card. But what I think is so interesting here is that they're almost like observers. It's like they're in the audience watching the show. That's so interesting. The tower has been struck by lightning, but look at that amazing sun that is also beaming at the same exact time that the thunderbolt has come down and the flames have come out of the top of the building. So, yes, a dark energy or a heavy energy, but also hope. And then we had that card with delight. I almost get the sense in looking at these cards that perhaps we ourselves took down the tower that needed to be taken down in order to allow for growth, for the spiritual growth. And that will bring us delight. They're observing. When you're a part of the audience, you feel a certain kind of way towards what's happening here. But it's not the same as if you were you know, in the heat. You can look at it from a different perspective. And how amazing is it to be in tune with ourselves to the point that we are able to recognize when something is not um, serving our greater good or our highest purpose, and we decide, you know what, enough, today's the day and I'm taking it down. This ends here. This ends today. This ends with me. I'm making the call. I'm taking this down. And I love that she's sitting there almost like with a teddy bear. So it's like that sense of support, having spiritual support and hope being offered, which eventually brings delight. Oh, that's very interesting. Okay. So, aesthetically, I don't know that these belong together, but they definitely want to play together. This is interesting. And the deck is interesting too. And the guidebook actually gives a little bit more than what I thought that it would give. So that has been a pleasant surprise as well. I can see why this is a favorite for so many people. I feel like the energy of this deck, it's for me similar to my Cirque deck, but different. um, this one kind of teeters. It's that spot right in between darkness and light, whereas my Cirque deck kind of sits in the shadows in most of the cards. That's interesting. This is a cool deck to play around with. I'm happy that Desiree sent this over to me. So let me know, friends, is this a deck that you have in your collection? How do you work with it? What do you pair with it? I'm curious if you use it for specific kinds of readings. Let me know. Let me know because I think it's a cool deck, and I'm very happy that I was able to play around with it. I have actually used it a couple of times for live readings, and it's read pretty well. Um, it's been pretty direct, I have to say. I'm not surprised. Oh, I know I did that. I put it in backwards. Hold on. Because later on, I'll be asking myself, I don't read reversals. Why is there a reversal in the deck? Friends, if you love tarot and you are curious to see how it's going with the deck swap, please make sure to subscribe, tap the bell icon so that you don't miss any future videos. Yes, friends, let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you so much for sitting with me today while I play around and experiment with these two decks. And be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Bye.